Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, Dhamma friends, today also we are going to take time for the talk. May everyone settle down for the talk and give the consent with 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse katame tayo dhamma pahatabba isso tanhati ti. Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, my friends, we introduced this topic as to what are the 3 things are to be abandoned. So in our effort towards this path, towards the liberation, the main and first and foremost thing is this craving for the desire, and that is the thing we have to get rid of, abandon. And it appears very difficult, as if we are trying to live without the effect of the gravity on the earth. It's very difficult. So therefore, other religions, they never even try, even define the getting rid of this craving. It's a task is very grave. So that is why the Buddha going to give it in the 3-fold method, and therefore define the craving in the 3-fold manner: kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. That means that we can do it in a piecemeal basis. And we start with this kama tanha, that's the sensuous pleasure. And usually in our day-to-day life, we multiply them. We consider this as our ability or our richness to have so many visual objects, different colors and different shapes, and so many sounds, different qualities to satisfy our ears, and so many smells, and so many tastes, and so many comfort, and therefore so much of thinking, creative thinking, productive thinking, and they are all these karma guna, the multifacets, sense objects, external objects, are filling our whole life without leaving even a split second to live. We are chasing behind these sense pleasure, and so therefore leave aside this abandoning of that, and we are in our day-to-day life multiplying. So under such circumstances only the Buddha emerged, and he found this as the more proximate factor, the proximate cause for this suffering, and very difficult someone to see how this fulfillment of the or satisfying the sense desire leading to suffering. Everyone individually or as a group, as a society, always chasing behind the pleasure principle. Everyone, each society, each culture, even animals, chasing behind the pleasure principle is the single factor. So that is why the Sigmund Freud, when he was inventing the Western psychology so-called, he mentioned that all behavior, that complete behavior of a human being can be explained through sexuality. So others consider it as the Jewish phonographic. The Western psychology criticized as a Jewish phonography because he tried to explain everything through this sexual desire. Everyone is doing good or bad, forward or behind, justifiable or unjustifiable. In order to fulfill it, it is an instinct. It's a natural thing. But somewhat similar, here the Buddha says not the sexual desire, but sensuous gratification. So it is wider when compared to the sexual, the sensuous. And then the kama tanha is taking care about this sensuous desire. Instead of satisfying, fertilizing, and feeding the sensuous desire or different objects, what about restraining them to the utility value? This is the first and foremost thing. When and where you are not considering that kind of a restraint, you are always chasing behind the luxury or consumerization, no limits. The person who is chasing behind this limitless way to the luxury and the consumerization, we call Putujana, or the commoner. And present day, contemporary context, we can see what is happening to the younger generation, because they are utterly in this sensuous gratification, and they are bewildered, no good sign, no healthy signs. So therefore even the parents, even the elders can see it is going there. Unfortunately, you can't stop it. Because this is the way the society, this is the way the constitution, this is the way outlook, this is the way the technology, this is the way the political decisions, this is the way the economic formulas, and this is the way society. But comparing that, individual as we are, can think about the advantages and the disadvantage of it, and knowing that the restraint regarding the faculties is not for self-mortification, but to reduce this luxurious use or consumerization to the utility value. It is not a religious thing. I think it is a humanitarian value if someone can moderate and make the living up to the utility value. So this is taken little further. The Buddha prescribed, if you wish to do away with this desire or this craving, to do it in an intensive way, full-time way, entering into a forest, sitting under a tree, and going to a solitude place is very, very conducive. That is why we are putting up this kind of a big meditation centers. This is called Sunyagara, that means free from sensuous desire. So you can go there as lay people temporarily, or as the Venerable sisters and brothers as a full time, and try to live this exemplified life only to be contented with this utility value. And so this is a kind of a grave decisions. That decision itself is not possible for each and every person. Imagine about our kith and kins, relatives, they are not appreciating our going and spending time for this full-time meditation, going into the forest, sitting under the tree or go to this kind of place. They find we are crazy, we have something wrong with us. Therefore, we can't expect that to happen in the universal way. But the method is available even before the Buddha's emergence and prehistoric time. There were some ascetics, ajivakas and achelakas. They were a little bit of inquisitive, and they renounced. And the Buddha, to be as the Prince Siddhartha, he saw one such ascetic, and then only he decided to renounce. So that means it is a kind of a thing happened in the Indian society basically. And recently in our young age, we remember the hippie culture. The people come to the Asia and live very, very simple way. It's sometimes too much. They are very thrifty and living as a hippies. And still they did not succeeded and found desired answer. So even if you are listening to the Buddha and come to the forest, sit under a tree, or get into a solitude place, that itself is not enough to do away with this kama tanha, to do away with kama guna. Kama guna means multifarious sensuous gratification. So we people know, whenever we come to a place like here and assume a sitting posture, we know we are in a meditation center, we know we are at least on eight precepts, and we know where to focus our mind, we know our basic needs are being supplied by the devoted people. So therefore, even if you try to focus the attention to a verifiable, natural, recurrent object, how quickly the mind is jumping out from the desired, neutral, verifiable, recurrent object. So each and everyone by now knows how quickly it is jumping. And when and where it happens, unlucky enough, everyone is regretting, complaining, telling it is my weakness. It is not your weakness, it is a human weakness. This is the human mind. This is nothing to be worried. Other people do not try, so they do not know. We try, not only just renounce the house, but we try to keep one single object as much as possible. It is something recurrent one, verifiable one, neutral one. Now, what is the challenge? What is the immediate challenge? It is not karma guna, it is not the multifarious sensuous objects, but it is a perception of the sensuality. Karma sanya. When and where you close your eyes, your past memories and future projections, your relationship with your other people and other places going to happen without leaving even a split second. So you become so desperate, you lose the household life, you never get into the meditative life, you are in between two worlds. You are in two mills, you are getting crushed. So therefore, early part of your meditation, the beginner's challenge is an enormous one. And uninstructed mind or untrained mind always regret about this bewildered mind, wandering mind, daydreaming mind, fantasizing mind. So you can listen, you can read, you can expose whatever may be the yogi, the practitioner, early part is so much of complaints. My mind is jumping to sounds, my mind is jumping to the pain, my mind is jumping to the thinking, past, future, visual objects, sounds, smells, so much of things. And therefore very difficult to apply mind to the primary object, so to say, or a recurrent object, or to the verifiable object, or to the neutral object, because mind is happy with juicy objects, attractive objects, and therefore that jumping out is something you condition through aeons of time. By simply going there and sitting cross-legged and closing your eyes will not cut off that momentum. As far as you do not try, don't see the magnanimity of the task. Whenever you try, utter failure. It's an utter failure. We don't have personality to accept it. We do not have enough knowledge how to tackle it. So therefore you have to ask this question directly from the Buddha, O Bhante, we renounce the house. It is not a simple task, even for a little short period. And once we renounce, not only that we are just hanging around here, throwing our weight here, we try to focus our attention without anything, any intention, and there only we can see the mind. It's a monkey mind, mad monkey mind. It's like a wild buffalo taken from the wilderness, or fish out of water, or earthworm cut into two, moving, or broken tail of the gecko. So much of movements. And many go mad. Is this the mind I am always protecting and feeding and sleeping and bathing and beautifying everything? Is this my mind? Everyone is hiding it. Rather than asking directly the Buddha, if it is so, the Buddha will come out with the practical answer. If you wish to keep this bewilderment, if you wish to keep this daydreaming, fantasizing, wandering mind, keep that neutral object again and again. The amount you can be face to face with the primary object, so much so, you are not only winning the multifaceted sensuous desire, you are winning sensuous desire as well as sensuous perception. So when you are traveling, it is like tightrope walking or swimming against the current. Definitely so much of distractions. So being it is given with so much of challenges, how many steps you can walk, how many breaths you can take, how many thought moments you be aware that I am sitting, not walking, or walking, not sitting, indicate it is something possible. It is something possible. It's a human endeavorance. It is not superhuman. It is not a magic. Again and again when you apply mind, you can see you can replace the sense desire as well as the sense perception by the present moment or primary object. So of course we know, we have that kind of experience. So the whole Tripitaka is nothing but how to promote this present moment into the series of moments. This is the basic crux of the teaching of the Buddha. If you can come to the present moment, well and good. You have already given momentary answer. You have given verifiable answer. You can be sure that I can go into the present moment at least 1 split second. So that means 1/3 of the craving is cut off. The great task you achieve 1/3. But I have never seen for the last 40 years anyone appreciate that. They are always worrying about the impossibilities, difficulties. So this attitude is a killer. These attitudes make you inferior. These attitudes not making you a yogi. You are just lamenting. You are just finding difficulties. So that is why the Buddha says, in the Karaniyametta Sutta, you must have qualities. How to appreciate this momentary cut-off of the sense desire. If you do not have this kind of a positive thinking, better go home. Live that sensuous life. Otherwise you are in between 2 mills. You are crushed. It says, Karaniyatta kusalena yantan santam padang abhisamecca sakko. If you wish to have well-being, and if you are to develop that skill, first and foremost is sakko, positive thinking. You are already renounced. You already have 1 or 2 thought moments with the present moment, with the primary object. That is what you call the positive thinking. Instead of you are talking about the rest, where you failed, you are supporting your failure. You are fertilizing your failure. You are feeding your failure. This is the way we are talking in gossiping, talking with other people. Therefore, better not to listen that kind of gossiping. That means better to avoid media. The international media, newspapers, radios, always negative, always destructive, always keep you suppressed. They never talk about something positive. We are happy to listen to news. We are happy to listen to radio. We are happy to see novels. We are happy to see teledrama. Because we are happy torturing. We are happy suffering. We are happy with inferiority. So it's the instinct nature of the human being. There is no another person come and distract you or torturing you, burning you, your internal thing. So therefore, whenever thing happens, if you have to train your mind only to see the love spots, only to see the silver line in the dark cloud, don't talk about the dark cloud. So can that kind of attitudinal change happen at this Kama Tanha level is a grave question. Very difficult. So therefore, with that kind of a mindset, still if you are trying on this yogic life, it's a praiseworthy, because still you have the sour taste. If you have the astringent taste, still you are eating. You are looking at everything is a bad face. Everything is going against me. Still you are trying. So this part, not a single human being can understand. They think we are crazy. We are mad. Leaving aside all the comfort over there and come here and utter suffering. So therefore it's not a meditation, this is like asylum. People coming here and suffering is an asylum unless otherwise you know how to be happy, how to be glad. So can one be glad about just simple renunciation? I renounce not due to someone's push, not to get money, not to get the fame and anything. It's renunciation from the sake of renunciation. And after renouncing, We try to get the membership in this meditative life. We do walking meditation, we do sitting meditation. Occasionally, we can see a silver line in the dark cloud. And if you are to talk only on the silver line in the dark cloud, you are already enlightened. You never believe. You think the huge dark cloud, they are only thin line right round on the silver line. So why not I talk about the dark cloud? So this is what you call the literature. This is what you call the written language. This is what you call the talking language. They are talking about the dark cloud. The Buddha is one of the person, he never talk about the dark side. Of course, he is talking about the truth of suffering. That he says how to cut off the root cause of the truth of suffering. When you are practicing, even if it is occasionally, if you can go into the present moment, talk only about that. Very difficult. Our language is utter negative. We are very happy with tragedies than comedies. See the amount of novels on the earth, how much a proportion of tragedies compared to comedies. See the amount of films they are preparing, how much of tragedies when compared to comedies. So we are also chasing behind tragedy, films, novels, events, news. That you have to understand, that is not my fault, it's the human culture. Can I learn the art of reporting only the positive, only the love spots, only the achievements? So some people consider it is unfair kind of reporting, because better to start with the failure. So therefore Pandita Sayadaw is the best person I saw on the earth for my life. He says, when you are reporting, report the best sitting. Start when and where you are face to face to your primary object. Explain as much as possible with the primary object, and then, only then, talk about mishaps, distractions. Even if you are not writing, no problem. But if you can't do away with, please write at the end. Write about the best walking meditation from the last interview to the present. First, explain how was the contact of the soul on the earth. What did you come to know? How much did you note it? Effort. Was it successful? Whenever it is face to face, what is the touch of the ground? And if possible, how many steps continuously you can go? That's it. So I suffered 18 months when I was in Burma. Daily he is chasing away, telling me he can't understand what I am writing. Basically, he was teaching, rising and falling, but I am accustomed to in-breath and out-breath. So I have to adjust my report. Some or the other, he chased me around telling, please go back. He knows that I am an ardent practitioner. I am very regular, but my reporting was completely bad. So 18 months he kept aside me. When he is doing interviews, I have to listen how the other yogis are reporting. So when and where someone reports positive, he asks me, please note it. This is what you have to report. Then I can understand where to guide you. But if you have to try to find the mishaps and failures and distractions, your mind is never prepared for meditation. U Pandita Sayadaw himself, in the first week, he found all the other fellow yogis are talking, distractions, and Mahasi center is building, morning to evening, nailing, hammering, sounds. Evening he has to put up with 3 yogis in the room. One person is snoring from the evening to the morning, just like a sawmill. He told daytime the hammering, evening the sawmill. So he found very difficult, and everyone's behavior is not up to the mark. So he's completely desperate. And his teacher picked the point, and he came to know. He was Shwevum in Sayadaw. He's a very, very, very serious monk. And he was mentioned, mind your own business. Don't look at other mistakes. Report what did you experience. So that day evening he saw a dream. Thereby he has gone to the sea with a very small fishing boat, and he is off the shore. And he see other far away places, other fishing boats are also there. And he see huge tornado or storm is building. So he saw it's coming in a very fast way, and all the other fishermen in the sea did not notice it, and their sails are full-fledged. So he starts shouting others, please, please note that there's the storm is coming. If your sail is full-fledged, you will be washed off. Remove the sails. And while he's shouting, he looked at his boat. It is also with the full-fledged sail. Then he thought, mind your own business. Don't shout. First remove your sail. Then you can help others. It was an epithet. Only then 1 month, 1 week time, he realized. So whenever you go to the single meditation or group meditation, you see so much of frictions, so much of sour taste, so much of astringent. Our mind is always talking about that. That means we are happy with kama tanga, kama guna and kama sanya. We are always associating with the multivarious sensuous pleasure or its perception. Even this desirable object, that is to say medium object, that is to say the neutral object, verifiable object, repetitive object, mind never associated. So this is not an individual mistake. When we have the common interviews, we can understand. If you are going to have individual interviews, that chance also missed. I think I am the person only having that question. The others may be sitting very nicely, just like a statue. From the whole hour they are waiting. I am always moving and I have this and that and everything. While walking, others are nicely walking. I am moving up and down and I have this problem, that problem. So our natural tendency is to talk about the questions. So you have to put it in simple English. When you are writing distraction, you are promoting distractions, you are fertilizing distractions, you are feeding distraction. That is natural mind. Just forgive and forget. And see, amidst of all, can I have one thought moment on the present moment? It's such a great achievement, because unknown time since we are fertilizing this multifarious sensuous desire. So midst of that, if I can cut off at least for a split second and go to the primary object, it's a grave achievement. That if you do not know how to appreciate it, you miss the bus. You miss the bus. So therefore, presentation, writing, and have that interview report is very important. You must appreciate, you must know how to promote, how to facilitate good thing rather than fertilizing bad thing. So therefore, definitely this life is more uncomfortable and irritating than household life. And focusing into the body or focusing into the life stream, that is the in-breath and out-breath, is more uncomfortable than the wandering mind, fantasizing, daydreaming. If you understand that this friction, this irritation you feel as a sign of mindfulness, then you will be a different person. I am repeating. Whenever you come to meditate, sitting, walking, whatever may be, whenever irritation happens, if you can understand this irritation as a sign of mindfulness, it must be an object of meditation. Whenever irritation happens, mind is here and now. Instead, it is look around and try to go to the past, future, other people, other places, and talking about complaints. So look at it. Look at my mind is always searching dirty things, ruined things, historical things, the external things. Amidst of all the distraction, the one thought moment you can be there, and that itself we have to appreciate and see. The irritation become more prominent because of the sensitivity of your mind. Irritation become more prominent because you are mindful. Can you look at the first and foremost sign of the mindfulness is irritation, then onward your life is different. Whenever irritation happens, you become self-aware. You become mindful. So one day I read Ospensky. He is writing about Gurdjieff, and he says, whenever mind is collected and be here and now, first and foremost sign is irritation. The second sign is fault finding or self-complaint. I complain myself, making one or the other reasoning is the second sign that you are mindful. The third aspect is find fault with others. He should have closed the door very calm than this sound. He would have sit closely without making not much noise. He would have talk without much of sound. Like we expect everyone to be a perfect meditators, but you don't know, your mind is irritated, that is why you are finding fault with others. The last aspect he mentioned is you become pedantic. That means you expect world to work to the letter. Everything must be perfect. Then only you can get enlightened. Once the world become enlightened, then you will become enlightened. What a idiotness. What a foolishness. And if you can put it around another way, okay, whenever irritation happens, you understand now I am here and now. So I know I am face to face with something undesirable. Object may be undesirable, but it makes you mindful. And if you are not appreciating it, mindfulness will go back. If you are distracted or if you are negative, mindfulness will go back. So you have to put a garland and give a kiss and ask the mindful to please come. Even amidst of all the irritation, and even amidst of all self-accusation, even the midst of all fault-finding with others, and expecting everything to be perfect. So this is kind of absolutism. You expect everything must be perfect. So I am so lucky, I am such a messy person from my childhood. Whole family members are chasing me around because wherever I go, everything is messed up. So I don't care whether things are in orderly manner or not, because I am the main culprit, messing up everything. So when I go and meditate, if someone is scratching close me, I don't care. Even someone coughing, I don't care. Even the flies are there, I don't care. Because I am also like a fly, disturbing always others. So therefore I never expect the world to be meditated before me. It's a common joke in Nissarana. We find fault with always our kapakarus. Kapakaru means the helpers. So we expect helpers to work exactly. We give very trivial things for them. They are working 24 hours. And we are the meditators, but we expect them to be perfect. So when I come here in 1880, all the meditators I found mad. I made a statement, first the kapakaru must be enlightened, then only we can become enlightened. So much so, once you renounce, you know you become so irritated. All the renounced people are mad. What they expect? It's a kind of a psychiatric situation. I am very happy, I am the most senior renounced monk. I am making that very bold statement, but before come, all the lay people told, when you go there, don't expect anything. Don't reject anything. You must adapt into the situation just like a Girl Guide or Boy Scout. That is your skill, without expectation anything. So I came prepared. With that mindset, it's a heaven. Everything is free. So I can remember, as soon as I come here, my beard was up to my navel, my hair was up beyond my shoulders, and I am like a Hindu Swami. So my mother and the brother, everyone came maybe 2-3 weeks later, and they found I am exactly the same, with the beard and everything. And they came and offered me some toothpaste and some jaggery and some toothbrushes and kind of thing. I told, not necessary, because we have a store. When you request on Thursday, you can get the brush. I should not have my own personal this thing. I must not have my own jaggery, because when you go to the dining hall, it is available. I must not have separate toothpaste, because I am getting, so please hand it over to the office. So my mother was so unhappy. I was so rude. And I felt like a fully satisfied person, because whenever we write something on the book, on Thursday, we give it. We have a system here for the monks. And if it is available, why should we have a personal treasure? And it is offered by people, and we are justifying it. We can't check the quality. We can't check the brand name. We must have whatever available. We have whatever people are offering in the food. We can't say put little ummalakada or little ratulu. No, nonsense. You have to take it and eat it. No problem. I'm very successful. I say so because when I go to Burma, I had 3 big challenges. One thing is I have to eat meat. Second thing is I don't know English, Burmese language. Third thing is I have to do rising and falling, then in-breath and out-breath. So all the people already had experience told, if you are ready to cry, go to Burma. Great desire to go and see, how can they make me cry? I know not to cry. I spent almost 4 hours, 4 years. No problem. Of course, when I go there, I am happy to see there was a vegetarian table. So I was there, and there was a translator to translate it. And they were, of course, chasing me around, but I was practicing Anapana, and they are talking about rising and falling. So I try to manage. So when I come back, Pandita Sahib told, you are the only person can live years in Burma. Other people definitely go away in the hot season because so much of stomach. So I am happy that it is not due to the monkhood. It is because before coming, I had the 9 years experience. You must go prepared for whatever the situation, because you are the person taking the decision to renounce, but don't expect anything from there. It is an adventurous thing. It is not on the physical ability. Your mindset must be, whatever the thing happens, if you wish to be face to face to your primary object, you must understand, don't chase or don't appreciate karma guna, the multivarious comfort, or its perception. The perception of sense desire is the 5 hindrances. I am repeating, the perception of 5 hindrances, the 5 hindrances means the shadow of the sense desire. It is represented as 5 hindrances. So whenever you met up with 5 hindrances, you must be happy. You are not with the multifarious sense desire, you are in its perception. You replace the karma guna by karma sanya. You replace the multifarious sense desire by perception of sense desire. But I have never seen anyone on the earth appreciating nivaranas. They always hate nivarana. Whenever nivarana happens or 5 hindrances happen, they are making so much of complaint. The nivarana is a kind of a replacement of the karma guna by karma sanya. It is due to your renunciation. At home you never see nivaranas. You see only dealing with the sense desire. So once the karma guna is replaced by the primary object, even for 1 split second, it's a great achievement. You are making a small dry land, small island amidst of the huge ocean. So you can go into that thought moment and let you dry. Otherwise, so much of waves, so much of high tide, so much of tsunami, you are in the water. So therefore, appreciate even 1 split second. When you keep the ground, when you keep the leg on the ground, if you can feel the touch of the ground, appreciate this is the sign of mindfulness. See how many steps you can do. So in Buddhist world, we feel we have some cumulative effect and merit from the last life. If you have that kind of a thing, you can have a few steps. Left, right, 2, 3 steps. That's a very good opening balance. It's a very good sign. So only you have to ask is, now I can go 4 steps. How can I make it 5 steps? That is what you call advancement. Not the concentration, not the wisdom, not the faith, not the energy, but the mindfulness. So make the task very simple. Yesterday I can walk 4 steps. So how can I make it 5 steps? Whenever the 5 steps established, go for the 6 steps. Just like a toddler, how to learn walk. And the mother is very happy. The very first day, it is tottering and stand, and then for collapse. And again next day 2 steps, and shaking and collapsing. And likewise 2, 3, 4, and then knows how to walk. So we are younger than that kind of a toddler. In walking meditation, we can't have 1 or 2 steps also. Never mind. And you see that toddler learning how to make 2, 3 steps, one day becoming Olympic champion. But each and every step, beginning, start with very simple step. Very simple step. So therefore, if you know how to appreciate the single 1 thought moment of mindfulness, as a sign of replacement of the sense desire and the sense perception, you feel you are positive. It's a possibility. It is called a potential. And present day in the meditation world, it is being proved, our potential-wise we are the same. Possibility-wise we are the same. There's no male-female difference. There's no difference between the learned and unlearned. There's no difference between the young, middle-aged and old. There's no difference between ordained and unordained. So therefore, it is a task for each and everyone. And recently, Richard Davidson, one of my favorite scientists, and he has written the emotional life of your brain, has very nicely explained, you cut off this or learn emotional intelligence, you have to fill it with inert one, neutral object, verifiable object, repetitive object. And then you draw the datum line, then you can see ups and downs, spikes, positive, negative, desirable, undesirable thought moments. But each time it is cutting the datum line, you understand now it was a desire, now it's a hatred. Again the desire, again the hatred. So you can have bookkeeping. It's a kind of a scientific approach. Then he says this with this method whereby you introduce neutral object and repetitive object, verifiable object, and you know when and where mind is with the object, and you know when and where mind is not with the object. Wandering, daydreaming, fantasizing. And each and every time you put forth your effort, you increase the momentum. You keep on increasing. Never it goes down. It's ever positive. So this being the universal answer, he asked why only so much or little fraction of people going to try it. Others not even ready to give a try. They are chasing behind the psychiatric situation, chasing behind chemicals, chasing behind marijuana, chasing behind alcohol, chasing behind womanization, chasing behind gambling. That they never come to this kind of a neutral thing. He says, I can't even design a research. It is completely beyond the rationality. Why people are not be mindful? Why they are not taking it? Can't think. Because people believe external things, chemicals, omnipotent God, or external thing. That is what you call luxury. That is what you call the consumerization. But when and where you be here and now, you are with something internal, free of charge, neutral, verifiable. See, it's a birthright. Even someone come and tell you, no one gives even try. And we people give try, and we have certain amount of success, we are never happy. It is throughout the meditation world. They are not happy. They want to have accelerated way, very smart way to become mindful 100% from 0 to 100. Idiot. Foolish. But they don't know the gradual process. They never appreciate we are on the way. They are asking outside, am I beautiful? Am I on the way? Is it correct? Always asking because you never believe you experience. Each and every moment, if you can appreciate it, that appreciation or that gladness or that rapture you develop is a kind of a mental attitude rather than external measurement. Our mind is so slaves. They are depending on other appreciations. They are depending on other criterion because of the present day bloody, foolish education. Filled our mind with past things from the idiots. And in the exam paper, if you can repeat the same thing, if you can vomit the same thing, we will get the highest mark. And then we will put a clock and given a certificate and given a job. And then full day, full time stress and tension. You never live with yourself. You will never be balanced. So therefore we have become slave. But the Buddha, by mindfulness, it show you a reference point, a benchmark, pivotal point, where you can verify, here, now I am. In the midst of everything, each and every thought moment you understand, you verify, here, now I am, you can be very happy. At that moment, 1/3 of this desire, this craving, go. Kama tanna, go. So what an achievement. But if you are not appreciating it, you never entertain your achievements because your negative way of thinking. So therefore, meanwhile, while you are practicing, you must listen to the Dhamma. You must express yourself and you must try to maximize the way you develop. The way you develop, you will maximize by your own peculiar method. There's no common method. Recently one person wrote an email, you become failure because you are copying others. In exam, if you get caught in copying, you will get failed. Our life exam also, we are utter failure because we are copying. We never assimilate our ways and means. If you know this is what you have to maximize, 1001 methods. The Buddha mentioned, Attikehi uppanyato maggo. If you know where the target is, there are 1001 ways. Don't depend on others. Of course, we can share. We can share a positive thing with other fellow meditators, but it is not a must. It's an additional thing. So therefore, you must express whatever your achievement. First talk about the positive things. First talk about the achieved thing, that is what you call sakko. And when and where that change of your attitude happens, of course, you can't expect at that level, but if you are fully thorough in the teaching of the Buddha, better chances are there. If you are associating true people, noble people, there are better chances for you to appreciate whatever you gain. And if you are in a proper good vibration, chances are there. But they are very expensive. Very, very expensive. And that is why this time, like here, full-time meditation is very precious. You have to appreciate it. And then when it happens, the Buddha is asking, now you have done away with the kama tanha and see what happens to the object that you have taken as a pivotal point. What happens to the object that you have taken as a reference point. What happens to the object you take it as a datum line. And you are now believing your object because it helps you to get rid of kama sanya and kama. So sense desire and sense perception. So therefore, there may be a misunderstanding. This object must be permanent. Object must be not changing. Object must be auspicious. Object is my soul or soul achievement. So imagine when the Buddha is asking, just see the object, how it changes across the time. Chronologically, what happened to the object? Buddhism can't talk. Any religion can't talk about. This is the point, you drop religion and you become real, radical in reflection. The very object helps you to be mindful and get rid of this sense desire and sense perception. Now you are looking at the object in a critical way. Is it permanent? Is it auspicious? Is it my soul thing or soul of my life or kind of thing? So desperately will object, if you are to observe the object continuously, is changing so fast. The very object, very pivotal point, very reference point, very benchmark is changing so much. So then you will be shaken. Whenever you are to observe the very object is changing, you can see your head is turning here and there, and you see everywhere crawling animals are running, and body is swinging, collapsing, so much of things. No one consider this as a sign. This as an indicator. Now you are losing the grip of the primary object. It is at the beginning very solid, help you to get rid of the sensuous pleasure and the sense perception. But if you look at the object, that itself is undergoing a change. That part we lost in our commentaries. They are not talking about the changing of the object. This is object is permanent. So you, unless otherwise you have the radical reflection, you will never look at the very object in a critical way, in an analytical way. And even if you go prepared, you have to understand how much you have to keep the object face to face with, in view with, amidst of all the distractions, all the sounds, all the pain, all the thoughts, And there you can see object is changing. Object is evolving. Object has a metamorphosis. Gross to subtle. Desirable to undesirable. Close, far. In, out. Past, present and future. 11 facets. Its materiality is changing. The feelings changing. Perception is changing. Our volitional relationship is changing. So ultimately it appears like a tsunami. So this part, not a single religion can understand it, because it was positive thing, it's an auspicious thing, it's a permanent thing, helped us to get rid of this kama tanha. But now you have the bhava tanha. You feel this object is permanent, everlasting, auspicious, and that is my soul. So that is the point where Hinduism gets stuck. But the Buddha very clearly indicated the changes of this particular object. But then onward, to listen to that part, you have to change from samatha to vipassana, concentration to wisdom. And the concentration aspect of the object is very pleasing, very absorbing, very good, but never allow you to get rid of this from this track. So you have to look at the object in a critical way, in a radical way. So that is not religious. And for up to the 1956, the Buddhism books, interpretation, everything, no one question about this. After the revival at the Buddha Jayanti, we came to the earth with this transitional area, where there were some critical people. They read the scriptures and they told the very particular object, the particular the sign you develop, you have to look at it from the critical point of view. That's the deepest teaching of the Buddha. So go prepare. That means now you are going to go into the kama tanha to bhava tanha, and they are completely different kind of set of challenges. And definitely you can say, whenever you go to the kama tanha to bhava tanha, there's no plurality, only singularity. Here, now I am. You cannot be a member of a society. You can't go with someone. You can't copy someone's. You have to assimilate your own method. For that, the mindset must be very, very radical. That is called against the grain. So that is called vipassana. So to go to vipassana, that very object help you to come up to that point, you have to look at it very critical way. So imagine when you are in the meditation, whenever you develop your mindfulness to keep the breath 10, 20 at a series, and you can predict it or master it, can season it, till under such circumstances I can keep the breath 10, 20, 30 like, and that is the point where you must observe what's the difference between first breath to the second breath. I will put it this way to make it more dramatic. At the beginning you may see in-breath versus out-breath, drastic difference. If the in-breath is cooler, out-breath will be warmer, or maybe short and long, maybe a rush, or maybe calm. So whatever it may be, the difference between in-breath and out-breath is much, much prominent, especially at the beginning. Now see in-breath to in-breath difference, first in and out-breath, second in and out-breath, third in and out-breath, fourth in and out-breath. So what is the difference? So that is what the Buddha says in Satipatthana Sutta, Dīgaṃ vāsa santo, dīgaṃ assa sāmīti pajanāti, and then rasaṃ vāsa santo, rasaṃ assa sāmīti pajanāti. At the beginning I see long in-breath, and after I see short in-breath. That's a comparison between in-breaths and the comparison between out-breaths. So that is how you open the doors to see whenever you have chronologically object face to face with, what are the changes. So your eye must be so sharp. Of course you have to look at it with the closed eyes, but your sensitivity must be so sharp, one in-breath to out-breath. Upanita Sayadaw, he says, if you look at a herd of cows, the whole herd may be Ayrshire or Frisian or Jersey or Kilari, whatever may be, they have the name for that herd. But if you look at that herd, within the Ayrshire herd, there may be male and female bulls and cows, and the heifers, and the calf. They are different one by one. Unless otherwise you put a ear tag, you can't keep accounts with. You can see a herd of Aisha cows, but one from the other is different. So like whenever you see continuous number of breaths, each breath is specific. No two breaths are equal. But if you look at the breath with the permanent motion, you try to see the equality of the breath. But in Vipassana, you have been asked, you have been trained to see the difference between in-breath to out-breath. It's very difficult. You must be so sharp, you have to keep an eye, view it, the particular object, in a grip, like a magnetizing, and observe it to see the differences. So it is now you are going against bhavatanha, the craving for existence. Craving for existence is run with the permanent motion. Now you have to look at the very object that you developed so far with the impermanent motion. So this is going completely against with the worldly knowledge. Worldly knowledge is based on permanent motion. That is why we are being taught in the class and asked the same thing in the exam paper. If you can repeat, we are the winner. But there's no truths. There's no such things. There's no formulas. There's nothing repeatable on the earth. It's changing. So nowadays, specifically when I'm learning organic chemistry, I can understand from this corner to the other corner how many formulas you can write it. Everything you have to by heart. And if it is so, you will get the highest marks. And the first day, and we had a very beautiful, efficient teacher, lady teacher, and I was the best for organic chemistry. So she was teaching us and drawing us phenol, the cycle of the phenol. And after long, maybe 3 months, she took to the lab and showed a bottle of water, telling this is phenol. I got completely crazy. I thought it's a diagonal shape must be in the bottle. So it was just water, just a liquid. So I asked, is this phenol? Because when you are drawing in the blackboard, it's a hexagonal and 2 connections and hydrogen and carbon. Where is it? So she started look at me like an idiot. Because we put into the head with that configuration. And when you go into the lab and see it is a liquid, can't believe. Exactly the word, the permanent thing you have taken, if it is becoming impermanent, you become vomitish. You become allergic. You feel the whole world is colorless. What is the use of this life? How can we make norms? How can we make formulas? Everything is changing. But it's a very clear sign. Now you are not fighting in the kama tanha level. Now you are utterly leading to the bhavatanha, because your permanent notion that you have developed is challenged. Day by day, they get ruined. So let it happen very slowly, otherwise your mind can't comprehend it. Because mind is in such a set, and now it is each and every observation, each and every step you are taking, each and every breath you are taking, each and every time you are eating, each and every time you are brushing your teeth, you find things are changing so fast. Earlier you try to put in formulas and equality. Now your mind, if you are progressing, you can see there is no such a thing. Things are changing. This changing nature is not changing. Everything is changing, but the changing nature is not changing. It's a permanent. So there you find another layer of truth. Rather than having conditioned mind, you try to accept the impermanent nature, but when and where you are looking at your primary object with that kind of a outlook, viewpoint, the deductive knowledge will tell you, if the day you see the changing nature of the primary object, you find other objects also the same. That is kind of a deductive knowledge, rational knowledge. One thing you fix it, observe it again and again to show and let it be open to see the changing nature, and then you see the permanent pain you had also undergoing changes. Your hatred to sounds also undergoing a change. Your hatred to thoughts also undergoing changes. So likewise now, you can make use this the pivotal thing on the deductive way, or inferential way, or rational way, and even if you are not sitting and meditating, when you look at something, you can see they are changing. Earlier it was a threat. If you have a bhavatanna, it's a threat. If you have to learn bhavatanna, it's a grave achievement you have never done in your history. And you know it is very difficult to convince others. So they are not happy. They want to have the permanent notion. They want to have a identity card. They want to have a photo. They want to have a bank number. They want to have a name. Everything is fixed. They are never happy to see the changes. So you see in the civilized world, each and every person is cornered. They have their bank number. They have their identity card. Wherever you go, you can spot. And a drone can kill you within 2 meters, wherever you may be, because you are already spotted. As far as you are carrying a cell phone, as far as you are carrying your driving the car key, America can see where you are. That is their final aim, to track you. But if you are an aborigine, no identity card, not registered, wherever you go, no one can spot you. Though civilization means, if you go to the London town, 36 cameras you have to follow. If you go to the airport, how many cameras you see here? Do you think that is for your well-being? Never. Never such an outside thing can make your well-being. But you have to understand, whatever the thing, you have to see its changing nature. So therefore, when and where you fix it something, you are dead and gone. The Buddha make it such a simple way. Whenever you name something, it is spoiled. Because you can't wait. Let the thing to be there that you want to identify with others. That means you are fixing it. That fixation is a human cancer, mental cancer. You can't live with things without labeling, without naming. Each and everything labeled, each and everything named is fixed. But whether you fix it or not, things are changing. Only the name thing gives you the suffering. Whatever you have not fixed and labeled, they are also changing, but they are not torturing you. Whatever you selected and named are the one going to give the suffering. So therefore, see our mind, always try to put a name, always try to put labeling, naming. So when and where you come from the kama-tanna to bhava-tanna, your noting, labeling disappears in deep meditation, and you can be aware. I am walking, I know I am walking. I don't know whether on the left or the right, the walking happens, I am not sitting. In sitting, you know you are not walking, whether it is on the breath or rising and falling or whatever it may be, you are you know you are sitting. Like you understand with the basic understanding and ready to change, that is very clear, no vitakka vichara, no adverting mind, you understand things as they are. Just like from the first jhana to second jhana, in the concentration meditation, first jhana you keep the jhanic absorption with the help of vitakka vichara, adverting mind and the discursive mind. But the second jhana is full of joy because no naming, no vitakka vichara. Likewise, when and where you go there is a kind of a philosophical or religious or spiritual kind of a liberation, but you are losing the value of the world, losing the value of the worldly matters. So this can happen within one sitting, but if you are not appreciating it, you develop vomitish feeling, you develop nauseatic feeling, you feel get up and go, you feel mental imbalance, you feel irritation, you feel fault finding. This is the way of escapism of the mind. So you have to understand, give that exercise again and again to the mind, and don't be judgmental. Just observe it. Just be unassuming way. When and where mind is progressing, your rational mind and your deductive mind is making so much of repercussions, so much of frustration. So you can see too, the reality is developing and the rational mind is always make fussy. They become fussy. So don't claim this is me or that is me. They are happening. So more you experience it, you find the split, the conflict is within your brain, not the outside. The day you accept, it's a kind of a contentment. It's a kind of satisfaction. So you will never search the answer outside. You find question is inside, answer is inside. So you have to challenge the mind with the reality. And then you can see 1001 escapism the mind is trying. And each time you see it, and if you continue to meditate, you are advancing. Not only advancing in sitting longer time, and the concentration, the wisdom and the mindfulness, but you are cutting off slowly the desire, the medium level. I think enough for the day. So I thought stopping at that level and to continue in the next day and try to make these points if you find digestible and to make yourself happy, make yourself comfortable, make yourself positive. That is a clear sign of your personality, and that decides the progress. Hope this information will be positive for everyone to understand and incorporate into the meditative life. Thank you very much for listening.